Welcome to Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rhonda Whitaker. I'm Sergeant at Arms tonight and for a few more months, and I'd like to have someone ask me how to train as Sergeant of Arms so I can pass it off in July to them. Just giving you a little heads up, folks, it's a lot of fun. Please help me welcome our President, Mr. Will Burns.
Yo.
Thank you, Rhonda. And yes, I am the President, at least for a few more months myself. Welcome all, Toastmasters, viewers at home, and yes, I'm looking out there and I see Larry. Good. Welcome. Can you please just tell us for a brief moment what brought you here today?
Yeah, my name is Larry Allen from Davenport. Got some business down here, and Vera invited me here to come on down, so got to help out and share some humor and have a good evening and fun time with you folks tonight. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Here at Toastmasters, we seek to provide a mutually supportive, positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop moral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence,
Personal growth.
That's right, personal growth. And now it is my pleasure to call up our Toastmaster, Seth Braun.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, welcome to the evening of discovery. It's our theme for the evening. I'd like to jump right into the meeting by letting you know the role of Toastmaster is to keep the meeting moving forward. Now I'm going to introduce the rest of our role players, starting with our timer. Please tell us your name and what the function of the timer is.
My name is John Loris, and the function of the timer is to time people's speeches and to turn on lights to help them pace their speech so they don't go over. On table topics, you have 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, the green light goes on. 1.5 minutes, the yellow light goes on, and at 2 minutes, the red light goes on. The 5 to 7 minute speeches of the night, the green light goes on at 5 minutes, yellow light goes on at 6 minutes, red light goes on at 7 minutes. Table topics evaluator, green light goes on in 2 minutes, yellow light 2.5 minutes, and red light 3 minutes. And then speech evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes, and their green light goes on at 2, the yellow goes on at 2:30, and their red goes on at 3. All speakers and evaluators have a 30-second grace period after the red light is turned on. And remember, the table topic speakers have to speak for at least 1 minute to qualify for votes. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Part of my function as a Toastmaster is to make sure everybody claps as well. So far, so good. Yeah. Let's hear from our counter this evening, Karen.
Good evening, my name is Karen. I will be keeping track of all the filler words that creep into our speech, from and ah to you know. I've started to detect tongue clicks, and that fulfills my role.
Thank you. You did it. Not letting anybody off the hook. Now I'd like to hear from our grammarian, Marilyn.
Okay.
Good evening, my name is Marilyn, and the word for tonight is ubiquitous. It means everywhere, such as cell phones are ubiquitous.
Good.
Try to use this in your speeches tonight, in table topics, in your evaluations, whatever. And I'll keep track of how many times we use the word tonight, and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Marilyn. We'll be hearing from our joke master, Catherine, later in the evening. We'll also be hearing from our general evaluator, Jean Simonton Craig, in the final portion of our evening's meetings. Our ballot counters this evening will be Cindy and Will. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our table topics master, our president, Mr. Will Burns.
Yo! Thank you, Seth. So Table Topics is the chance, Table Topics extends the chance to each and every one of you, guests and Toastmasters, to speak off the cuff. The goal is to give you the ability to speak in any ubiquitous situation. So I'm going to call for volunteers. If there are none, I will pick folks from the audience. First off, volunteers. Larry, come on up.
Yeah, Larry.
So I have a series of 5 questions here. I will give you the option to pick from 1 to 5, and then I'll ask you that question. And these are questions keeping in the theme of the meet tonight, which is the voyage of discovery is seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. So, go ahead and ask.
Okay, then the 5 of them were,
Well,
1 through 5.
1 through 5.
1 through 5, okay.
Pick a number.
Pick a number.
Okay, can we tell you?
Yeah, go for it. 3. Is there a place that you would like to visit? If not, please tell us what you enjoy about being right here.
Yes, I'd like to visit Hawaii. When I quit teaching, when I quit teaching school 2 years ago, the teachers as a going away gift, they gave me 2 free round trip tickets to Hawaii. So it was really nice of them, by bus. I would like to travel there. It is the 50th state of the Union. Yes, it does have a memorial from Pearl Harbor, a memorial from World War II, what happened. A lot of men died. Unfortunately, I guess the thing about Japan, yeah, they caught us by surprise. They did bomb our ships as well as airplanes, but they didn't hit the tankers of fuel. Why? Because Mr. John D. Rockefeller was keeping the fuel away from them, and Japan was wanting to expand. In World War II, in the late 30s and early 40s, and Mr. Rockefeller controlled the oil, especially Standard Oil of Indiana, and Exxon, which is Standard Oil of New Jersey, and Chevron, which is now Standard Oil of California. It's about money. So, but at least we back to Hawaii. I would like to travel there, and the memorial they have for Arizona. I would like to do that. So that's what I'd like to travel.
That's it for now.
For story for the evening? For Joe?
Later.
Later, okay, all right.
Okay, next volunteer. Rhea, come on. Okay, 1 through 5.
Okay.
Okay. What is one discovery you've made in your life that you've always treasured? This is keeping, I'll just add this in here. This is keeping with the theme of tonight, which is the quote, "The voyage of discovery is not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." So the question to you is, what is one discovery you've made in your life that you have always treasured?
Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. One discovery. Probably the one discovery that I'd like to talk about is something that I've actually discovered very recently. And that is that through discovery of new things is how we create our own lives. That we don't have to be victims in life, which sort of has been the theme of my life, that discovering that okay, I am blank. That discovering actually, perhaps that is a discovery. A certain amount of blankness, which could be also considered fullness of what is inside of us, which is everywhere and is ubiquitous. That the discoveries that each little step along the way leads to greater discoveries, and overcoming fear, such as situations like standing up and talking in front of a group of people, for example, that they can be a discovery along the way towards growth.
Thank you, Rhea. It's funny, I've had kind of a similar experience. I never really thought about growing up, standing in front of crowds, but yeah, I always do it now for some reason. It's kind of a strange experience. Next speaker, I'll call up Dan Craig.
Yo!
What's left?
Okay, 4. Tell us about an experience you had that has opened your eyes.
Ah!
Let's go back to the theme.
Well, the Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, the experience that I've had that's opened my eyes is probably not going to be what you expect. It's a game called Volleyball. The interesting thing about this game, the reason it opened my eyes, in accordance with the theory of discovery, the ubiquitous topic that we're all speaking about, it's been surprising to find out how much great exercise it is. I play every Monday night. Last night we play for an hour and a half at the rec center. There are generally 6 of us. We do 3 on a side rather than 4 on a side. The other funny thing we do with the game is instead of playing with the regular volleyball, which is a pretty heavy ball, we play with a beach ball. And we're pretty bad about the rules too. In volleyball you have to do this always, you know, you can't use the open hand. Well, we don't worry about things like that. But with all those rules being bent, we get a tremendous amount of exercise. Some of the points just go on and on and on and on. Usually in an hour and a half we'll play six games. Last night we barely got in 4 because the points just kept going and going and going and going. It's a whole lot of fun. It's really opened my eyes. It's really made me feel like I've discovered something incredible. So I would like to recommend it to you as an experience.
Thank you, Dan. I'm already a huge fan. Wonderful sport.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
Well, I'm a huge fan of you too. Dan. And with that, I will call up our Toastmaster.
Table topics and that. You have to evaluate.
All right, I will take care of this next aspect, which is to first ask, Mr. Loros, have all of our speakers qualified?
Yes, Mr. Allen, Rhea, and Dan Craig have all qualified for table topics.
All right. With that, take 2 minutes and vote. And with that, it is my sincere pleasure to call up our table topics evaluator, Stephanie Chambers.
Yo!
Hello, Toastmasters, honoured guests and viewers at home. I was impressed that Larry stood up and had a go at it. That's really impressive at a first visit to a Toastmasters group. So I appreciate your courage, and I like the way you were very clear about what you wanted to say. You wanted to talk about Hawaii, and that was a great start. Once you got going, I felt there was a little bit of not sure how to keep going. A little bit of a hesitation about what to talk about next. What we normally recommend, which you may have seen Ria do, is to pause for a moment before you start and just think of, if you can, think of it as, you know, like any story. There should be a beginning, middle, end, that sort of thing. Try and just work out a little bit of basic structure, and that'll help you to plan your talk a bit more. Even though it's only a 2-minute talk, you can still take 30 seconds to think about it. But I like the way you brought in all those historical references. I felt like we were all learning something about Hawaii, things we hadn't known, so that was great. Moving on to Ria. I always love the way you get up and have a go at this as often as you can, because the more we do it, the better we get. And I like the way you paused at the beginning. Think. I felt there's a bit of hesitation once you got up here that you weren't 100% sure. One thing I'd like to point out is that, you know, if you want to, there's nothing to stop you going off on a completely different tangent away from the topic. You don't have to feel confined to the topic. There's quite a lot of freedom. We'll accept anything. So if you want to go floating somewhere else with the idea and talk about something that we read in the paper this week, go for it. You don't have to feel that if you struggle that you're stuck with this topic. But I thought once you actually did have, I did like the way when you said you were blank, that you're honest about it, and you actually recovered really well from it by, you know, almost making it a humorous thing, and everyone enjoyed that. So I thought that was really great. And moving on to Dan. I enjoyed your talk. It made me want to play, is it volleyball or volleyball?
Volleyball.
Volleyball. So it's something I'd never heard of. So, and to me it sounds like somewhere, it's a game that's like volleyball with the rules bent. So
In a racquetball court.
right. Oh, I see. Maybe you could have explained that little point, because that would have added something, but at least you gave me a taste that there's something different out there besides volleyball. So that was really interesting. You know, my main recommendation for you is that, you know, especially with the sport, there's a whole stage that you could have made a bit more use of. So that's my main recommendation, is to use the stage more. But I like the fact that you ended with a recommendation. I thought that was really great. So overall, I thought everyone did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Evaluator. I could not help but remember this discovery I had. You know that I speak often? You all know that?
Yes.
Well, I speak quite a bit these days. And I was at speaking at a conference next to a pen conference. People from all over the world, pen connoisseurs. And I met this beat poet who represented a big pen company, Big. And I said, so tell me about your pens. And he showed me this really great pen, and he said, you know, you need to have this pen, man. I said, I do. He said, you don't just write with this, you bic with this. So moving right along, we have the main course for our meeting this evening. It's going to be fantastic. We get to hear from our evaluators who are going to introduce our speakers this evening. And I hope you're hungry for some great content, because we're going to hear from Rhonda Whitaker, who's going to introduce and read the objectives for Rahul Bats. Rhonda Whitaker.
you to Rahul Vats. He is a native of Bharat. He was born in one of the most ancient cities of the world, Ujjain. He now works here in Fairfield with Genetic ID. Ever since joining Toastmasters in August 2011, Rahul has developed a very strong aspiration for becoming a public speaker. He hopes to promote the message which comes from the Vedic land of Bharat. Here tonight to see if he can connect with the people on a heart-to-heart basis and to promote the message of love and removing the hatred from the world. He is giving his talk from the Competent Communicator Manual, Project Number 3. The title is Throw Away the Hatred. The objectives in Project 3 involve selecting a speech topic and determining its general and specific purposes. Another objective is to organize the speech in a manner that best achieves those purposes. To ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion, and reinforce the purpose of the speech, the general purpose and the specific purpose. He will be using sincerity and conviction and control any nervousness he may feel. And he will not use notes. I'd like to introduce Rahul Vats. Help me warmly welcome him.
I thought I could have used a chair. Friends, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home, my name is Rahul Vats. I'm not feeling very happy. I'm very sad. I'm feeling very heavy deep down inside my heart. Very heavy. Karen, could you tell me a reason when somebody would feel heavy? Heavy at their heart, not happy, sad.
The first thing that comes to mind is like the Boston Marathon, for example.
Boston Marathon. When you think of Boston Marathon, don't your heart fill with hatred for the people who committed that crime? No. That's good. Then this talk is not for you. But well, I'll still share. Because I do admit, being a human being, hatred is a feeling that comes naturally to me. I admit and applaud all the divine angels sitting over here. Because for me, hatred comes naturally and very easily. But I have to learn to get over it, to throw away this hatred from my heart. In this talk, we're going to do some experiment. Everybody just keep their hands to the side, like this, and keep it holding. Keep it holding. Keep it holding till you start feeling the pain. With that, I'd like to share a story with you. I'm watching everybody, and everybody who's not doing this activity nicely, I'm gonna hate. All right, I'll spare you the terror. I'll spare you the horror. Keep your hands down. But admit and tell me, if you keep your hands like that forever, what's going to happen to you?
Fatigue.
Fatigue.
Pain.
You're going to feel the pain. You're going to get tired. You're going to get bogged down. You're going to fall ill if you keep on doing it forever. In my story, this was the experiment conducted by a school teacher onto a class, a grade 5th student. The students were asked to write down the name of people that they hate. And students, being innocent and human like me, not divine angels like you, admitted and wrote down the name of people in the class that they hate. Some wrote 2, some wrote 3, some wrote 5. Fine. Next day, teacher collected the list, and next day, when they came, gave them a bag filled with potatoes. The number of potatoes which was equal to the number of students that they have written in their list. And asked the students to carry that bag everywhere that they go. Students did that. They did that happily, without any problem, for the first hour. In the next hour, they started complaining. It's painful. It's a lot of weight. Teacher said, we'll continue. They continued. By the end of the day, they were very, very frustrated. Teacher said, no worries. Leave it down. Let's see next day. Next day, students were again enthusiastic. They still did it. By lunchtime, by mid-interval in the school, they were very tired and upset. They came back to teacher and said, no, we don't want to do this. Teacher explained to them after they said that, this is exactly what happens when we carry our feelings around. This is exactly the same thing which happens when you carry that hatred for the people for whom you have written the name against on this paper. If you keep on carrying this feeling inside your heart, you'll feel the pain. You will suffer. Because hatred is a heavy feeling. And it's not good for your heart to feel that heaviness. Heart wants lightness. It wants easy feelings, not heavy feelings. And this is the message that I wanted to convey. But alas, I chose the wrong audience. Everybody over here is such a divine angel. I bow down and salute you. But if ever you see a person who is as human as me, who admits that he hates people, let them know that it's no use carry that hatred in your heart. But just as Karen said, events like Boston Marathon would not happen if people learn to free themselves from the hatred. So promise that you'll throw away the hatred, if at all you ever have that in your heart. You'll forgive that person. You'll forgive everyone for whom this feeling ever arises in your heart. At the end, remember, you can't hold this position forever. In the same way, you cannot hold hatred forever. If you do that, it's going to affect you. It's going to make you sad. It's going to make you suffer. To prevent the suffering, not only for you, but for this world, throw away the hatred. That's the message. With this, Mr. Toastmaster.
We're going to take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. And we're back to hear from our next evaluator, who's going to introduce Slobodan, Scott Terry.
Yo!
Hello.
Let me start by talking about the ubiquitous nature of Slobodan. This is for you, by the way. Ubiquitous in his ubiquitousness. He is ubiquitous. Now that's hard to pronounce. It is the voyage of discovery that Slobodan will take us to today as we sail away to Sailing 101. Discovery of the ubiquitous nature of Slobodan. Yes, and the objectives for Slobodan tonight are collect information about your topic from numerous sources. This is project number 7. Objective number 2, support carefully your points and opinions with specific facts. Do you have facts to back this up tonight? Yes, you do. And examples. and illustrated gathering through research. Slobodan, the main man, the ubiquitous man that we are seeking tonight to speak to us, came to Fairfield in 1990, and he never left. Why? We don't know. He completed his MS in computer science in '93, and he has been working at various medical device companies around the country. Just this country? Go to a different country. Cool, okay. Last 2 years he has been traveling, working on projects. Projects. Did you see that? Projects. Ridiculous projects that are, tell us nothing. Yes! Slobodan, take it away. Oh, yes.
Don't count the time yet. I'm coming down. Do it now. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and all our guests. Do you like sailing?
Yes.
You know how to sail.
Yes.
Again, wrong audience. How about you? Do you know how to sail?
I don't know how to sail.
You don't know how to sail? You'd like to learn?
I would have a fear about it, but sure, I would be willing to learn.
Great, because sailing is a very fun way to connect with yourself and with the nature. You have the sun, you have the water, you have the wind coming in your face. Perfect. Ready?
Yeah.
Good. Put your life jacket. You two guys, the first class seaters, the life jacket is under the chair. Get ready, we're going sailing.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready too. The first thing we need for sailing is to have a sailboat. Now, terminology is more or less old English terminology. So the top, the front of the boat is called bow, and the back part of the boat is called stern. The widest part of the boat is called beam. And the left part of the sailboat is called port. And the right part is called starboard. Does that make sense to you?
No. And I've sailed.
It's English. You know why they have the port and a starboard for left and right in sailboats?
No.
Well, on the boat we also have a rudder that helps us steer the boat, right? But now, long time ago, they didn't have rudders. So people would carry, the sailors would carry a board on a side of a boat and steer. And when they come in a port, they duck. Well, they cannot duck on the side where they hold the board. They duck on the other side, right? So the other side became the port side. Then why was there the right side, the starboard side, right? But most of the sailors, the English guys, were right-handed. And they'll use their right hand to hold the board. And they'll always park or duck on the left side. So the port side is the starboard side. Is that any clearer now?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you sign for sailing 102. Okay, the boat has a mast. The sailboat has a mast. This is a top view. If you look from a side, this is the boat, this is the mast. And the mast is a point in which we have two sails attached to it. One is called the mainsail, and the small one is called a jib. Now, the base of the mainsail that helps us stir the sail, it's called boom. Why boom? We'll find out. So, now what do we need for sailing? We got our boat, right? And I also got my trophy here, just in case you forget when you vote. So we have our boat, right? It's right here. What else do we need?
Wind.
Water.
Perfect. We need wind. We're all in the water, very deep. Now, wind has velocity and direction. This one is pointing this way, and the velocity is green. In sailing, that usually means it's less than 12 miles per hour. If it's more than 12 miles per hour, it becomes red. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I never saw it. But okay, thank you very much. So, if a sailboat points this way, you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? That means it's anchored. It's not moving anywhere. Or the English will say it's in irons. Like heavy in irons, so it doesn't move. So, if the sailboat is under 45 degrees with the wind, and the mainsail is fully, they call it sheeted in, so it's kind of in all the way. That's called close haul. So for the 45 degrees left and right to the wind direction, we're not sailing. The first time you start sailing is after 45 degrees. The first position is called the close haul. If it's 90 degrees between the wind and the boat, it's called beam reach. Then you also have the sail, you guys in the wrong position. Can you see it? The sail is slightly more open. Now in between those two, it's called close reach. Now if the boat is all the way back and the wind is blowing in the back of the boat, this is called boat is on the run. Now between the run and the broad reach and the beam reach, it's called broad reach. Now the broad reach and the close reach are the safest ways to sail, because you got plenty of way to maneuver because the wind is constantly changing. If you ever saw that, I mean, if you follow the wind, sometimes you can make a turn. Now for the beginners, they usually have a drawing like this, something like this. It has a 45 degrees funnel here that says you cannot sail there. But it has about 20 degrees funnel here says you probably don't want to sail there as a beginner. Because running on a run, it's relatively, and the wind being changing the way it is, it's kind of like tricky. Sometimes the wind can really pick the sail and swing it right around you, and then boom! You understand why the boom is called boom, right?
Yeah.
Now, as a conclusion is, this is actually introduction for the next course, you never really sail in a straight direction, unless you're really, really lucky, which never happens, right? So for sailing, you have to go zigzagging. And how to do that, you'll find about 170 million websites talking about sailing. And 1.5 million tell you more about how to do properly. So please, refer to your websites to learn more about sailing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll take 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker. We have Welcome back. Point of order for a good Toastmasters meeting, something that I've been seeing tonight is, if you come up and shake the hand of someone, and you came from that direction, but they're coming up this way, don't walk around them and go back to where you came. Walk off the opposite direction that the person coming up is coming, and if you need to, go back around. This is a good protocol. If you're at a very important event and you're going to be shaking hands with the president of a company and coming up, you don't want to walk around them. You want to make a nice orderly line, so we practice that here. If you come up, someone comes up this way and you came up that way too, be graceful and just walk off this way and go back around. To demonstrate, I'm going to welcome up Diane Tenbaum to introduce our next speaker.
Good evening, everyone, viewers at home. Tonight I am going to evaluate Vera, who is working from the Competent Communicator Manual on project number 4, How to Say It. And the objectives for this speech are the following. Select the right words and sentence structure to communicate your ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. Use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize ideas. And the third objective, to eliminate jargon and unnecessary words, use correct grammar. Vera has been living in Fairfield for 30 years. Her passion is gardening. Lately, what she's been learning about has been the Constitution of America, the Bill of Rights, okay, and how to stand in that. Those were her words. She has a very personal story to tell us tonight, and the title of her speech is Know Thyself. So I'd like to introduce Vera right now. Come on up and know thyself.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. Tonight I've asked to share this personal and not have it on camera. So, and the topic, Know Thyself. When we were born, we came in at the peak of our beingness. Our wants and needs were expressed without any condition. Our telomeres were at their peak, and we carried the energy that we are the center of the universe. There were no doubts, no questions for the first few years. And you'll see that when you see a child skipping. There's no hesitation. They are it. They are in the I am. And then we come into a place where our parents have been conditioned, and they start to say, do this, do that. Life becomes more questionable. Not to mention that in about 3 weeks after you're born, you get issued a certificate of live birth, and it's in all capital letters. So, what does that mean? A live birth is actually a certificate of stock, and you become traded on the market. You become very valuable to commerce, very valuable. With that, commerce, the corporation, has their way that you're not aware of the self anymore through conditioning in public schools. And after a while, you start to be one that just follows the crowd. Maybe, maybe not. In my situation, I believe that there was common law, and you took people by their word, and the word was the word, is how I grew up. And then I came into the situation that found me most recently, and I was asked to go to Burlington, and they had a couple hundred questions on me there. One of the questions was, why did this situation happen to you? I said, I believe it happened so I could learn the difference between corporation and common law. So that started my journey on this experience, and I chose to stand. However, I was not educated in the one-room school where I came from. It was basically honor the powers that be, for they're here to do their duty, their job, and that was about it. So now I have come to the place where I, through some study, and grace be, a lot more to come, I have endeavored to put what I'm learning into practice. And the Constitution and the Bill of Rights go hand in hand, and there are unalienable rights. Could I see there's got to be somebody here that knows what those are. And what is your favorite one? Can I see if somebody raised their hand? What is your
The
favorite?
unalienable rights.
Yes.
Life, liberty,
Yes, very good, very good.
Second Amendment, right to bear arms.
Okay.
Try and take away from that.
Well, one of mine is to be left in peace in my own property. And I think that's the Fifth Amendment. So I'll tell you about an experience I've had here maybe a month ago. Well, I'll go back. A year ago, I decided I'm going to travel and not drive. And travel is without a license, without all the jargon that goes with it. And a cop stopped me and he says, "What's your name?" And I said, "My friends call me Vera." And he says, what's your address? And I said, I have a temporary location. I could expand it on that, but they say keep it simple. We're not compelled to self-incriminate. So say little. And so then he goes, "What's your date of birth?" And I said, I could only say hearsay because I don't remember when I was born. And so then I gave him a little caveat card I have, and he went back to his car and did whatever he does. And he comes back and he says, "Have a good day. I just want you to know your taillights are not working and they need to be fixed." I said, "Thank you, I will take care of that." So I have a few that I thought are very worthwhile. There's been many travel cases, and if you go on the internet, you will see every state is really standing up on this. And in more ways, people are wanting our unalienable rights back. And here are some that I think are very noteworthy. A person driving an automobile cannot be stopped to see if he or she is licensed to drive unless there is reasonable suspicion the person has engaged in criminal conduct. Remember, they have to have probable cause. So that's one thing that you could ask them, what is your probable cause that they stopped you? And they have to articulate. And another case, these are all cases, I won't go into the names and numbers and letters, but this one, a right which is free and open to all is not the subject of a license or tax. And this one especially, a state cannot impose restrictions on the acceptance of a license that will deprive the licensee of his constitutional rights. And also, no state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it. And this one, when a citizen is attempting to enforce the Constitution as herein shown, he is doing so not for himself alone, but also for others, as a private attorney general. How many have heard that before, a private attorney general? Okay. And vindicating a policy that the Constitution writers considered of the highest priority. And that's that on those. I had one more over. Okay. My friend here has a $100 challenge. I'd like if he mentioned that briefly. We're close out of time.
Well, thank you, appreciate it.
You can just.
Thank you. Yeah, give everyone a challenge. I have a $100 bill. Okay? Or you want 5 20s, or you want to make 3s and 6s, so you got to change an $18 bill. Challenge. Dictionary should have words. Black's Law Dictionary, Webster's, whatever. Black's Law Dictionary, which is what you use for legal, look up the word patriot. $100 bill. Okay? So you can find it and get hold of it. Okay?
Yeah.
Another thing, if you look in the law, we're arguing about seat belts, have to wear seatbelt. Please find in the Code of Iowa where it is passed by the General Assembly original Constitution, filed 1846. It says all laws have to be passed by the General Assembly. So $100 bills, who we can find it, I'll give it to you personally. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Gary. 2 minutes. Okay, we are back. Let's take a few minutes, seconds. That's the new unit of time called milliseconds, used for voting. Now we get to turn the meeting over to our general evaluator, who may help us to pronounce ubiquitous correctly. Jean Simonton Craig.
Yo!
Madam General Evaluator.
Yes, there have been a number of attempts to use this word tonight. Some creativity was involved. That's just since Toastmaster has asked me to practice that just a tad, because I really like this word. Ubiquitous. There's a QU, so it's qua. So it's ubiquitous. Sounds almost Latin, doesn't it? Okay, so let's just all say it. Ubiquitous. And the accent is on the second syllable. Ubiquitous. I think I heard a ubiquitous usage of ubiquitous just there. Okay, good.
Thank you.
So far this evening talent has been ubiquitous in the room. I'm going to now call on our evaluators to put some dots, dashes, details into that talent so that we can get it even better as we move forward. Our first evaluator is Rhonda Whitaker, evaluating Rahul Box.
Yo!
I really like Rahul's style. His speech style is so emotional. He comes from the heart. Every time he speaks, he reaches out to the audience and he grabs people right there. He's got you right here. He's got your attention. He gets you to feel what he's feeling. He feels with his whole body. He moves around like a ripe mango, you know. You just want to reach out and grab him. So his purpose was stated clearly. He worded it so that we could understand he wants us to stop hating. He wants us to recognize what happens to us when we hold a grudge, when we feel negative towards someone. He gave us the example of holding. He said, this is what happens when you hold. Eventually you get tired, you suffer pain. And he made it obvious that hatred, which is a word I don't even like to use because it's very strong, it creates a very negative emotion in people, that hatred can drag us down and make us feel heavy. We're not fun anymore when we're hating other people, when we're holding a grudge. His points were strong. His beginning was well made. Rahul, I really like the way you engaged the audience right off the bat. You asked someone to give an example of why you would feel heavy. And Karen mentioned a current event that's been obvious to everybody in this room, I think. And at one point, Rahul was so convincing, it's almost like I wanted to raise my hand and say, yes, I hate so-and-so. Just so I could get cured.
Sure.
His goal was attainable. He suggested a goal to us, and it was attainable. It is attainable for us to simply say, okay, I'm done with being grumpy. I'm done with hating so-and-so. I see the God in so-and-so. He did everything but say, tell yourself you see the God in somebody else. That's a gift from India. Atma Namaste. His points were, there are consequences, there is a takeaway. Rahul, I loved your conclusion. It was strong. You made the point that you appealed to us. You made us promise. We had to promise Rahul. He got commitment from the audience to stop hating. Wonderful speech. Thank you, Rahul.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Our next evaluator is Scott Terry for Slobodan.
Go.
Let me try this again. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Can I just say everywhere?
We'll practice
Yeah,
afterwards.
say everywhere.
Everywhere.
Day after school.
It's not fair. Nothing's fair. Slobodan. Great. I love how you pulled out the objectives. I love the fun that you enhance in what you create. It's really, in some ways, it's a Slobodan show. And whatever you talk about, you make it fun. Let's go through some of the details. How well does the speaker's topic apply to the audience? Yes, if we wanted to learn something, and I'm glad you started by saying, do you want to learn something? No. Okay, how about you? And you like are in their face. It's great. Nice story to back up the beginning part. Would have been nice to have another one at the end. Support the speaker, his main points. Yes, if you're wanting selling points. Supporting material, helped explain the topic, very much so. Great props. I like the hat, the little boat, the whiteboard, the arrow with the wind. Just waiting for it to start moving around. And I like the little, even on the boat, there was the little sail that went whoop, and boom. Boom. The boom. All right. So I don't know how to say ubiquitous. Sorry. Speech was clear. Purpose of sailing. I just would have liked an and to that. I would have liked you to go, and here, dot, 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 is the meaning of what we can create from that sailing experience. The ocean of consciousness. Something more of what we're doing with it. Great opening, great addressing the audience. Great use of body language with movements. I would have liked a little bit more vocal variety. Coming in and going out. Contemplating what we're doing. To that end, a couple points. One, pause. Second, Tom's old favorite, which everybody needs to get. 1 point, one person. One time. Do not chew while you're speaking ever again. And then bring it back to the audience. You started with the audience, bring it back to the audience. Create some meaning from it. Create some development from it. Thank you, Slobodan. Great speech. And again, your presence really makes it happen. Thank you so much.
Our final evaluator tonight is Diane Denbaum evaluating Vera.
Go!
Good evening again, viewers at home, and Vera. Vera, your speech, if I think about the feeling level of Vera's speech, there was a feeling in the room. Before the meeting we talked, and so I had an expectation of something else coming. That didn't come. The main thing I have to say about Vera's speech is there was something brewing, there was a big message waiting to be told, there were things that she was learning. And I just have to say, Vera, it just didn't quite pop that way. Bless your heart, as they say. I loved the way you used the audience somewhere in the middle of that to help with what we knew. and I love that you had Larry participate. So I think that this is a speech that can just help a lot of people, and I think there's an underlying message in there that I'd like to see come out. And so to have that happen, you know, that white part of the Oreo cookie sandwich where I could give some suggestions, I'm going to load it up a little bit, okay? And I'm going to use the manual. I thought that this speech topic was very appropriate for this assignment, how to say it. Did you use simple, short, and clear words? I put could improve. My choice is excellent, satisfactory, could improve. They were not that. Did the speaker use vivid, descriptive words that created mental images? That didn't happen for me. I definitely was sitting in the world of the rights, you know, that we have our rights, and I was interested because I'm not real knowledgeable about every right. So there was a part of me that wanted to know more of what you were saying. Rhetorical devices to enhance your ideas, I didn't hear those. Did the speaker avoid jargon and unnecessary words? I think you did. You used the word cop. I don't know if that's jargon or slang. Police officer maybe, I'm not sure. Did you use proper grammar and pronunciation? Yes, I heard that. I didn't hear anything that wasn't. Was your speech purpose clear? Not really to me. I was lost. I kept thinking, I want to be with her, but I'm not. And you talked about events, an event, and this happened. That's why I keep saying what I go back to, the strength, the underlying strength was, there's a message there. But it didn't quite come out. And was the speech effectively organized? Medium. There was some sense of organization, but it didn't flow. I just was not clear. So here, a couple other things to do differently. With a powerful message, go to the Toastmaster model for a 5 to 7 minute speech, and you can call me and I'll go over that with you. A little more practice, maybe run it by someone, and when we have to use paper, use it powerfully. Hold it out in front because you've got a message to say and read to us. Not that we're ashamed that we're using paper. Again, what I liked was the feeling, your topic, calling Larry up, and just your sincerity that was in the room is a gift. So by getting a great speech to match that, it'll be fabulous. So I hope that was helpful for Vera. Thank you.
Timer, did all of our evaluators, including table topics evaluator, qualify?
Stephanie, Rhonda, and Scott qualified.
Okay. So we now vote for the best evaluator. We're going to hear from our role players now, reports. First, I'd like to ask our timer to give the report.
Table topic speakers, we had Larry Allen at 1:50, Rhea at 2 minutes and 28 seconds, Dan Craig at 1:56 seconds. Our speeches, 5 to 7 minutes, Raul at 6 minutes 44 seconds, Slobodan at 7 minutes 18 seconds, and Vera at 7 minutes 50 seconds. Stephanie, table topics evaluator at 3 minutes 10 seconds. Rhonda, evaluator at 2 minutes 40 seconds. Scott Terry at 3 minutes 10 seconds. And Diane Denbaum at 3 minutes 48 seconds.
Thank you. Now I'd like to hear from our counter, Karen.
Rhonda, 1 1 so, 1 and 3 repeats. Will, 2 ahs, 1 so, 1 pause, 3 repeats. Seth, 2 ahs, 1 and 3 repeats. John the timer. 4 ahs, 1 and, 2 tongue clicks. Marilyn was clean. Larry, I heard 6 ahs. Rhea, you seem to have that as your own special filler word. 3 times. 3 ums, 1 and, 1 pause. Dan, 1 ah, 1 you know, 1 so, 1 but, 1 repeat. Stephanie, 3 you knows, 5 so's, 3 but, 5 and, 5 repeats, and 1 false start. And an apple, 1 but, 4 repeats, 3 false starts. Scott, 2 us, 1 pause, 1 repeat, 2 false starts. Slobodan, 3 us, 1 like, 1 so, 1 and. I counted the gum chews as a bunch of.
It wasn't a gun, it was a man for the throat.
I totally understand. Okay. 1 pause, 5 repeats. Diane, 1 you know, 1 repeat and 2 false starts. Vera, 2 us, 5 ums, 3 so, 4 ands, 2 repeats and 4 false starts. Jean clean.
Oh!
Now I get to blow it, don't
You can relax now.
I? Yeah. Now I'd like to hear from our grammarian, Marilyn.
Marilyn.
Madam Grammarian.
Well, there was ubiquitous use of ubiquitous tonight. Very, very good usage of it. William, you used it once. I have a question mark by it, so I didn't know if it was used correctly, but you
I could
did
have
use
phrased
it.
it better.
Rhea used it once. Dan used it once. Seth used it 3 times. Rahul used it once. Scott used it 5 times, all in a row. And Jean used it about 6 times in explaining the word. Also, Scott used it once. And he said he couldn't pronounce the name, the word, but he did pronounce it, so I gave him credit.
Good man.
Okay, so events like the Boston Marathon would not happen if people didn't hold hatred in their heart. Throw away the hatred. Rahul said that. Vera, when we came into this world, our telomeres were at their peak. And what is your probable cause to stop me? Speaking to a policeman. I have to remember that one. Rhonda said he, referring to Rahul, moves around like a ripe mango. Scott said, in some ways, it's a Slobodan show. And Diane said there was a big message waiting to be told. So that's the grammarian's report.
Very
Thank you. And now we have our joke master, Catherine Kens.
Okay, I'm going to fire as many jokes as I can at you in a short amount of time, starting with 2 men are out in the woods, they're hunting. One man all of a sudden falls down to the ground. The other guy whips out his cell phone and he calls the police and he said, my friend fell to the ground, I think he's dead. So the caller very calmly says, okay, it's okay, just relax, take a deep breath. Let's make sure and find out if he's still alive or if he's dead. So there's a pause, the guy goes over, he hears a gunshot on the phone, and he comes back and he said, okay, he's dead, now what? What do you call 100 bunnies standing in a line that jump backwards? A receding hairline. A turtle is walking down the street in the middle of New York City down an alleyway, and all of a sudden a ubiquitous bunch of snails come and attack him. And he's attacked by these snails, and so then the police are called and they come in and they're detectives and they're trying to find out what goes on. And he said, what happened here, what happened here? And the turtle looks at the police and he said, what do you mean, it just all happened so fast?
time, you'll give me 4 minutes. So as the general evaluator, I want to get some feedback on the evaluation tonight specifically. We'll start with Stephanie. Stephanie acknowledged the guest's courage right away. That was really good, and we love it when guests get up, so thank you very much. And Stephanie is always smiling and encouraging. Just, if Stephanie wants to smile at me, I'm good with that. She gave suggestions to everyone to think a little bit ahead, to segue if the topic wasn't quite to your liking, if it's a non-starter, define a specific term. What was it? Oh, volleyball. People didn't know what volleyball was. So she gave some good suggestions. I actually did not really have a suggestion for Stephanie. There it is. I mean, the smile must have overwhelmed me. Rhonda. Rhonda gave her strengths for Rahul, that emotional connection. She gave a vivid image. It's very nice to give a vivid image, don't you now? I mean, when he's walking around, you're going to see a ripe mango. See That's quite an image there.
Very right.
The thing I like to point out that Rhonda did very well was she had a good use of content, not to repeat and tell us back everything that we already heard, but to illustrate technique. She would give a little summary of content that Rahul gave, but in the context of showing how he created some points and how he built his opening and how he built his conclusion. That is correct use of content in an evaluation. So that was really well done, Rhonda. Just the right balance. I did not hear a suggestion for Rahul. Okay, so that would be the thing, because Rahul, as ripe as he is, still could use suggestions. Scott. Scott Strong gave examples. He did something, he did something that was good, but he also did something that I thought was not so helpful. In terms of that eye contact thing, Scott, really, we're not doing this. This is not the good example. I mean, she's going to run out of here and never come back. So try to give a realistic example, because people will imitate what you do, and someone's going to do it that way, and we're going to go, no, don't do it that way. Also, secondly, really important, this would be a suggestion, this was project number 7, research your topic. I heard no sources, it wasn't clear to me that anything had been researched. So following the project's objectives, as an evaluator, I would love to go sailing with you, slow down. But in terms of as an evaluator, you want to make sure that you're evaluating so that you see what the skill level is that's being acquired and how well it's being demonstrated. Okay, so that would be the suggestion there. Might want to do another research project where you learn how to research and find answers to things. Diane, that was a very challenging evaluation. She found the positive. She talked about Vera's emotion. I felt the same way. Vera was like on to something. I just didn't quite get what it was. You were very gentle in giving the news. It just didn't quite pop. And sometimes that happens. That's what Toastmasters is all about, is sometimes it pops and sometimes it doesn't. Oh, I'm just getting ready to do a pun. Challenging, so it's a very challenging evaluation, but you put it in the context of when she does it again, or if she gives that speech in the future, how she could do it. So it's always not like, oh, that was a failure, I'll never do that again. It's like, well, polish it up and come back and try it in a different way. A suggestion for Diane would be to, and this would be for everybody, would be to hold speakers accountable for defining specific terms. Vera said something about telomeres. I have no idea what a telomere is. It's very specific. So I talked about that a couple weeks ago. If you use a term, you've got to define what it is. It's something before TV. I don't know what a telomere is. So I missed some of the content. I'd like to do that. All right. That's it. I would like to call back up our Toastmaster.
Oh, my goodness. It's Jean, come on, give her a hand. Wow, what a meeting, huh? Whew. Covered a very broad spectrum of content, from Esconded turtles to liberties and sailing. Just what a club. Give yourselves a hand. Go! Here it is. Let's have a drum roll please. Thank you. For our best table topic, it's Dan Craig. Okay. Dan Craig, ladies and gentlemen. Another drum roll, please. Oh yes. Our best evaluator, we're going to give him this, is Rhonda. Rhonda Whitaker. And one final drum roll, please, for our best speaker. Our best speaker is Raul Box. And I'm going to welcome up somebody who's getting number 3 here. Vera, you're only this number 3?
Rahul has a number 3.
Oh, we had 2 3s up here.
We'll get a 4 out.
I'm just the Toastmaster.
We'll swap it for a 4 later.
Does not compute. Does not compute. All right. We'll get you 4 later, Vera. Thank you very much. Number 7 will. Sorry, you don't get number 7. I don't know why. We'll get you number 7. That's my job. I did it mediocrely, but I did it. And now I'm turning the meeting over to
Come on back.
Oh my
God. Never mediocre.
What is going on?
Mediocrity is not Seth's forte. As Toastmasters, we all seek to not only to really challenge ourselves above and beyond. And Seth was able to actually put himself to a new level.
That's true.
Yes. Finally.
Finally.
Yes, finally.
Seth Braun has managed to take first place in Division E Toastmasters. Long time coming.
Thank you, everybody.
A few words about your experience, Seth?
Well, sure. Thank you. For 4 years, I've attempted to pass the division level, and I was beat by a wonderful speaker the first time I made it there. The next time I competed, I was beat here by Alex Sakea. And then I missed a year because I was on speaking tour. And then the last time I competed, I was beat by Tamara Binder, a great speaker. She was speaking again this year, and this year I won, and I feel great because I've worked really hard on this speech, and I've gotten a lot of support from you and this club, so I thank you all. And it isn't really, at this point, the cool thing is it's not about winning, it really is about becoming a great speaker and having the opportunity to continue to practice at higher levels. And I can see how it helps me in my keynote talks, the work that I do here. So thank you. I bow in humble respect and appreciation.
It's getting pretty close to that time. But first, Larry, I just want to get an impression of your experience tonight. What you think was
pretty short.
Yes, I was very much impressed. A lot of enthusiasm here. People giving good topics, speeches, and really not critiquing on the bad side, trying to upbeat, which people are giving. So I was really impressed. And if you folks were becoming teachers, or educators, and or coaches, I think you'll do a good job.
Thank you.
number of FR teachers, coaches,
Mangoes.
mangoes. And if you want to become those, maybe that's an idea for those of you that aren't. Search to pursue. And Larry, come back anytime.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Okay, we're about to adjourn. Stick around for a few minutes. Please help pick up. And have a good night.